We are live.
Are we live? Is this logistical right now?
This is legit.
Oh my gosh. I know we've been talking about this for a while, and now it's like finally happening. It's funny because for the viewers at home, the thousands of viewers at home, so Dan and I were working on this upstairs up in the conference room, but we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, aka it was Dan's fault. And then as we're coming down, I guess Jengis had saw my Instagram post about the podcast.
I haven't even looked at it yet.
Oh, please. It's
look at it now.
It's legit. People are already questioning me left and right what's going on here, and I have not responded to any of them. But Jengis came up to me and was like, I hate you. I was like, what do you mean? And he's just like, podcasting. I was like, dude, get yourself a mother effing mic, get in on this, and we'll make this a trio.
That was a good job at editing yourself. Mother effing, I like that.
You like that? Listen, I'm trying to be like PG, maybe a little 13, because, our viewers are 13 and above.
I got a question, though.
Go.
Should I be looking at you when I talk?
No. I think it just flows, right? You're not like, think about it. When we're on the phone, are we looking at each other?
Well, you FaceTime me more often than I'd like to admit, so...
I think I FaceTime you more than your wife and your mother and most of your family, to be honest. I remember yesterday you told me, I was on the phone, you were like, there's only 3 people that actually call me. It's 2021, and you said your mother, your wife, Tiana, who is my spirit animal, by the way, let the record show, and then myself. And I don't know, like, I've known you now for 4 years, so I don't know if that's, like, a good thing or that's a bad thing. So I'm going to take it as a good thing.
I don't know if it speaks more to you or more to me as a person, but, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this is the truth.
I'm actually sort of flattered, though, that you answer half my calls. Because it's like, it's always the same, what? And then I'm like, Daniel, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I give you more of a response than just a what.
I mean, yes, there are times, though, it's like we're having a mid-text, and I'm like, all right, screw this. At this point in time, I'm just going to call him just so that we can actually get something, like, the point across. Because I feel text nowadays is just too much. It's like, you can't tell people's emotions. You can't tell, like, exactly what they're trying to get across, unless if you're, like, really looking into it. And it's just, communication is key.
These are good points.
Communication is key? You like that? Let's talk about that. Communication.
Let's talk about this. First of all, people don't know who the hell we are.
That's true.
So I think we should give a little bit of a background on ourselves.
You first.
Me first.
You've been here. You're tenured here. So come on.
Well, there is no tenure here at Parisi Fairlawn, but I'd like to say I'm tenured.
Debatable, but continue.
So, okay. Well, I graduated Temple University in 2011.
Jesus, you're old.
Yeah, well, And I did my internship here at Parisi Fairlawn.
Just to let the people know at home, Dan, exercise science at Temple University?
Kinesiology with a focus in exercise science.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy. To be honest, I actually had no idea. I thought you were exercise science major.
Well, it is. It's just kinesiology, and the focus was exercise and sports science.
Can I ask as to why they had it titled like that? Because, like, most programs now, whether it's a bachelor's or master's, it's just, I think, more exercise science based, like, as the title. I know there are a few programs that do kines but does it really matter? Like, what's the whole point of that?
Personally, I don't think it matters. I do know at the time Temple was looking to become more of a research institute. So they're going for more of the prestige of saying kinesiology rather than exercise and sports science.
Can we divert a little bit? Because it's funny that you bring that up. Research based. I think a lot of universities are like trying to push their programs towards that route. Because I know, like, when I did my master's at Montclair State University, which I'll get into that after, even though I cut off Dan, my apologies, after Dan finishes.
So far my intro sucks, but yeah, go ahead.
No, it doesn't suck. There's a build-up off it. There's a story behind it.
Yeah, story behind everything.
But, like, people that are, universities, that are more research-based, like, what's the purpose of that? Like, why are they trying to, what do you think the purpose is of people trying to push their, whether it be more research-based? Because, like, again, we got into this industry because of the whole sports performance aspect. But what do you think, like, why they're, like, trying to divert it towards?
Well, me being more of a pessimist and thinking low of a lot of people, I think institutions like that try to go more research-based and, like, I guess, give themselves more of that prestige, they're looking to charge higher tuitions. They're looking to bring in more money in that sense.
Do you also think that, like, in that sense, like, a lot of the people, like, a lot of universities and a lot of the professors, a lot of the deans, a lot of the people that have been tenured there, like, I know this is going to sound, like, a little ridiculous, but do you think, like, maybe they tried the whole coaching route and just didn't work. So it's like, oh, research based. Maybe that's another route of exercise science we can go into. Like just because there is a lot of information. Because in this type of setting, this setting being, of course, sports performance, strength and conditioning, wherever you want to call it, kines, like it's always a science that's growing. There's always new technology. There's always new methodology. There's different components of this type of industry, this type of lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, that always continues to grow because it is a science at the end of the day, right?
It is.
So, like, do you just think, like, you know what, maybe we couldn't handle the whole coaching aspect, so let's do more research-based and then give that information out to coaches to now utilize on their athletes so that,
It definitely takes, I think, pressure off of the job because when you're in that research setting, you're kind of fending for yourself in a sense, whereas in this coaching setting that we're in, working with athletes, we have people depending on us in terms of sometimes their careers to bring their career to another level. So it definitely takes some of that pressure off, I would like to say. But some people I think are just meant for that research side of it. Like I've had professors at Temple who are doctors, and they're some of the smartest people I ever met. And I think they're so smart that it's almost hard for them to be a coach because athletes can't relate to them. And I'm not saying we're stupid and we're not smart, but what I'm saying is I think we're easier to relate to than some of these genius doctor professors that I've had.
Do you think they're just so smart for their own good that when they, like, say if they were to try to apply to a coaching aspect, it's not really the point they're trying to get across, quote unquote, really won't resonate with the athlete, whereas us, as like strength and conditioning coaches, performance coaches, whatever you want to call it, we have that ability to sort of take the science, take the information, apply it, but in the sense of like our athletes understand what we're trying to do. They understand the process. They understand, all right, this is what we're trying to coach, whether it be technique based, whether it be like talking about, I don't know, linear periodization or something like that. Like they understand the process and the whole idea behind what we're trying to do, whereas more research based people are just like, well, this is what the statistics say, this is A, B, and C, and then people are just like, wait, what? Especially athletes, because let's be honest with ourselves. At the end of the day, athletes really don't give a F about the science. They just care about getting better and seeing results, right? We're a result-driven business.
They care about getting better, seeing results, and I think the relationship they're able to form with a coach.
True.
So these doctors, professors, I don't think have the same ability that you or I may have to develop a relationship with an athlete.
That's so true.
So I think that's the biggest thing.
I like that a lot. I like that you brought that upon.
But getting off of that, so like I was saying,
before I cut you off and like completely diverted the whole intro, but go ahead.
So yes. I interned here, and this was my internship in the fall of 2011. So my actual graduation date would have been January 2012.
Okay.
And I was lucky enough that I was hired here as a coach, fresh out of my internship. And I mean, I've been here ever since. I've kind of grew up the ladder, if you will. I've been started working closely with Bill Parisi himself in the last couple months.
OG, woo woo.
It's a slight flex, I guess. I got certified as a nutritionist, so I'm the nutritionist here for the building as well. Here in Fairlawn, there's two separate businesses. So there's Parisi and then Escape Fitness, both owned by Rich Sadiv.
Yes, who is our owner. Could you break it down as to like, so for people that don't know, all right, two gyms in one building, can you just sort of give a little bit of a breakdown and what your job title is for both?
All right, so to put it as simple as possible, the Parisi side is the youth athlete side. But when I say youth, it's not just young kids. It goes all the way up to professional level. We have NFL players that are in and out of the building all the time. The Escape side, we'll call it more of the general population side. So the Escape, I like to say we're a little bit higher than maybe a retro, but that would be my comparison. It would be the same idea as a retro. Anybody can come in as long as you're 18 and older, sign up and work out on your own, and we have obviously different packages.
Like a boutique health club, you would say, right?
There you go. I think that's a good way to put it.
I just added a little sprinkle on top for that.
That's a little seasoning, never hurt nobody.
Little spice. Here we go. Continue. Sorry.
And then so for Escape, I'm the head nutritionist. And for Parisi, I'm one of the performance coaches, as well as in charge of some of the programming and scheduling and things like that. So
now it's funny you said programming. So obviously I know this, but our viewers at home don't. So not only are you one of the top performance coaches here, and also like one of the heads of programming for this particular franchise, but you also work with the Parisi network as one of their directors of programming, if I'm not mistaken.
I do.
Can you like break that down a little bit as to what your job is?
So I mean, Bill approached me. So obviously I've been here for a while. So Bill knows of me I would hope by now he sees me around. So he brought me in, and pretty much I started working with. We use Train Heroic a lot, so the whole franchise uses Train Heroic. So he had me kind of audit a lot of what they already had, like the work that I did, and asked me to kind of stay on this programming committee that deals with developing these sessions for pretty much the entire network. So our linear speeds, change of directions, total bodies, well, multi-directional speed is what we're calling it now.
Oh, we officially changed it, right, to multi-directional?
On a franchise level, we definitely have.
Okay. I like that, to be honest, because obviously as most of the experts in this field know, change of direction and agility are two different components.
This is true. Yes. I think in later episodes we could break down the differences between the two.
Podcast it. By the way, that's our slogan. Whenever we think of an idea, we just look at each other and it's like podcast. And that serious tone too. But continue. I'm sorry. So obviously now you're working with the network. You're developing all these different types of programs with not only just strength based but also multi-directional speed and stuff like that. And I have to say what are you on 10 years now here?
Going on 10.
Going on 10.
In my 10th year.
So legit tenured here. So you've developed a good relationship with Bill Parisi, the founder of Parisi Speed School, and do you guys meet? Do you collaborate? How do you break it down? What brought you to that position with the network, with the main franchise, as you being the one of the directors of programming? How did that come about?
I think a lot of it kind of stemmed from me expressing my interest and then him recognizing my work. I worked a lot with his son as well. His son Will plays basketball for Bosco, and I trained Bosco, and I think he liked the work I did there too. So him kind of just communicating with me and creating conversation with me and just bouncing ideas off each other, and he appreciated where I was coming from, and we had some friendly debates that I think he appreciated me having a different side to some of the things that he might think or some of his own philosophies, and then it pretty much just grew. So everything was very organic. There was no this is exactly how it happened. It was very organically the way it kind of came about.
We know, and which I like that you mentioned friendly debate and obviously everything being organic in regards to what you and him talk about with philosophy and training, because as we both know in this industry, egos are a huge capital H in the word huge. When you talk to him about your methods of training or what you believe to be effective, and I don't want to say he's old school, but obviously he has his standards of what he thinks are effective, and it's shown due to how big the brand Parisi's has become. In your thought, in your mind, what do you think? What does that tell you about the person he is, and obviously the person you are? Being able to communicate and debate, as to this is what I do, this is what you do, or this is what I think should be done, stuff like that. Again, you've been in this industry for 10 years. It's a good amount of experience, a good amount of knowledge. What would you say? Does that speak volumes to the type of person he is?
I think it speaks huge because he knows that the industry's bigger than just him, and I think it's huge that he's looking for the young, hungry coaches that could have valuable input.
Hell yeah.
So it was never, he's not a my way or the highway kind of guy. He's up for those friendly debates.
Absolutely.
Obviously, he feels very strongly about his current beliefs and philosophies, and I agree with, I'd say, probably 95% of what he talks about. I think it speaks volumes that he's willing to hear people. Bill Parisi's established. He's been around since, the story with the old $500 van, I was back in, 92?
92 is what I think.
Or something like that.
91, yeah.
He's established, going from that to where he is now.
For real.
Really, he probably doesn't have to talk to anybody. He can continue doing whatever he wants to do, and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But he's big on bringing in these young coaches as myself and anyone else that he's brought in to kind of keep the ball moving forward, which is awesome. I think that speaks volumes.
And you know what? It's funny that you say that too. Keep the ball, keep rolling. If I quoted you correctly, because we had mentioned before, obviously in this industry, in this type of setting, the science behind strength and conditioning and performance training always continues to grow. And so with him, obviously he's a little bit older. I'm not trying to age him or anything like that, but he is older. He's been in this industry for a while, and he's done different things. But guys like you and me, They're, I guess, a little bit more of the quote-unquote young bloods of this industry. We're still young. We're still, learning. I mean, you've obviously been in this setting a lot longer than I have, but still, like, we're still, new in the, new fresh flavor, I guess, of the month you want to call it. But, like, it's great to see, like, him sort of talking to someone that's a little bit newer in this industry and still picking their brain and actually, being able to have a conversation, being able to have a debate, and be able to possibly even take away some, focal points, whether it be in regards to technique, training. I mean, I don't even know if nutrition, just different components of, performance training, strength and conditioning, whatever you want to call it. So, like, that definitely speaks a lot of volumes because, again, we're gonna say this a lot on this podcast, but egos, huge in this industry. And then, listen,
probably the industry's biggest problem.
Probably the biggest, but you know what? In a way, I sort of appreciate it because it gives, like, that level of competition or level, like, it also brings up questioning to a lot of things. Some people think certain training methods are right, other people may disagree, and some people have done certain things for 10, 20, 30 plus years, whereas other people are more into the new components of training, new philosophies of technology, this and that. So it's like it has its pros, it definitely has a lot of its cons, but I really do think it has its place in this industry, just like in any other type of working environment, stuff like that. But all right, continue on, because I know, like, we're, like, diverting so much off.
Yeah,
off
so
of
this is over 16 minutes, and
this is good.
yeah, I'm not mad at it.
There's a flow going here.
I'm not mad at it, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's kind of my story. I mean, I've worked with a lot of athletes through this time, but I think we're both in agreement in saying this podcast is not necessarily going to be about us. It's going to be about the people we may bring on, we talk to, and different topics. It's not necessarily, again, we both, I think, are comfortable with checking our own egos for the betterment of the situation we're in, the betterment of our athletes, betterment of ourselves, right? Because egos can only create a wall that you're never going to break through, and then you can't grow because of said ego. So that's me. I'm Coach Dan. Why don't you go now? Introduce yourself.
Appreciate that, Coach Dan. So I'm Coach Adam. I've been at this Parisi Speed School in Fairlawn for around 4 years. I did my bachelor's back in 2012, graduated in 2016 from Central Michigan. At the time, I got my degree in sports administration and business administration. Excuse me, the minor was in business administration. Did a year's work of, like, working, like, marketing, operations, different avenues within sports industry. Realized I really wasn't that passionate about the whole 9-to-5 gig, working behind the computer, sitting at the desk. When I was able to travel, it was fun, but that really didn't sort of really, get me going throughout the day. So, ended up, stopped working for a said company. It was a sports marketing company. Decided to go back to school, get my master's in exercise science with a concentration in exercise science. Please do not ask me why that is the case. That's just how Montclair State University did it. But did that, graduated last December in 2020, and been here, like I mentioned before, for 4 years, and just growing within this building, within this network. And I think I've definitely grown as a coach and as a as a human being these past 4 years, and I'm, like, very appreciative of being able to work here. But again, at the end of the day, it's the brand. If it wasn't for Parisi's, I wouldn't be in the situation. In the situation that I'm in. Obviously, like, I have experience of powerlifting background, yada yada yada. I can go on with who I am, but pretty much to sum it up, went to school, got business administration, went to get my degree in exercise science, and now I'm here, and 4 years strong, going hopefully on another 4+. So
I think anytime in any setting you mention that you've participated and competed in powerlifting, you have to also say your numbers are.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my gosh. All right, bringing the egos back into play. So, in competition, so funny fact, I think us, and I forget what other country are the only countries that use pounds. Every other country uses kilos.
Yeah,
so in pounds,
we're behind.
We are way behind. So in pounds, just to be specific, you can find this online. Ego, sorry. I think my bench was like 297. I've hit 300 before, but in competition it was 297. Squat was 501. Yes, 501. 551.
500-pound club.
Yeah, there we go.
Talk about it.
And deadlift, conventional at the time, because obviously there's that debate between conventional and sumos. I have hit sumo before in competition, but conventional was 551. So those are my numbers. I've been competing in powerlifting since I was like, oh my gosh, freshman in high school. So 14? I'm 26 now, so quite some time. I've taken a break from it. It does. There's a lot of risk to reward in that sport. So I've taken a break, but hopefully down the road I'll get back into it. So yeah, those are my numbers. Coach, do you happen to have any numbers?
I never competed, so I don't have to say what my numbers are.
Oh, Coach, please.
Well, I think that'll just be up for the audience to
hashtag podcast it. That'll be for the next episode.
Take a guess on my numbers. I never competed. I don't have to talk about my numbers.
Why not? You should own whatever numbers you've done in the gym or even in competition. Who cares?
Nah, I think we'll let your numbers be the numbers for the podcast.
Just to let people know, though, numbers do not speak volumes of how good of a coach someone is.
These are facts.
For real. No, I just want to be clear because, nowadays with social media and everything like that, you see, I'm not trying to hate, but I'm going to sound like I'm hating. You see a lot of these coaches or, what do they got? Influencers, they're throwing up these insane numbers, and it's like everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I want to be like them." Obviously, reach for the stars. Try to hit those numbers if you want to. If that's something you want to get as a goal of yours, but just because someone can bench 400 pounds or squat 700, deadlift whatever crazy amount of weight, does not mean that they're a complete expert at coaching or an expert in that type of field. So, for all of you people,
I think it goes back to what we were saying before. Just because of how smart someone is doesn't mean how great of a coach they are either.
Yes.
Because you could know everything in the world, but being able to relay that information to a 14-year-old athlete.
Let me ask you this then. Do you think, with regards to coaching, you put emphasis on the coaching aspect, what would you say is the most difficult component to it? What is it? Having the voice of a coach, being able to, translate what you're trying to get across to an athlete, or we've talked about it, off air, just getting that developing the relationship with the athlete. What would you say is the most difficult thing that even regular people that are experts in said field have trouble relating to or doing with their athletes?
I think it's psychologically is always going to be the most difficult aspect.
Elaborate.
So being able to get an athlete to truly buy into you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can provide or write the best program, the best workouts, but if the athlete's not bought in, it's difficult. Now, in a setting like we're in, where more often than not, we're sometimes dealing with 4 or 5 athletes at a time, right? Like our semi-private group.
Yeah.
You might get 2 or 3 of them to buy in, but the other 1 or 2, so that's the difficult thing about being a coach, where you can't coach the same way for every athlete.
For sure.
You kind of have to, I like to say, and I think Coach Sully, who maybe will be on here one day.
Shout out to Coach Sully.
You kind of got to be a chameleon based on who's in front of you. You know what I mean? I can't coach one person the same way I'm coaching another person. So being able to master that, I think, is difficult. But once you master it, it makes coaching so much easier.
Do you think that goes back to what you said in the beginning, the relationship? I think there's certain walls with athletes, and you, especially when you first meet them, they have this huge guard barrier because, again, you're someone new to them, and you're pretty much, they're entrusting their trust, their body, their whatever, their abilities in your hands, and you're trying to obviously, as a coach, have them reach their full potential, whether it be in the weight room or on the field.
I think what it is too is their lives outside of the facility are way more hectic than we as coaches would like them to be. True. So they might come train with us for an hour, but they also have a 2-hour practice shortly afterwards, or they train with another quote-unquote skills trainer before they got to us. So mentally, we don't know where they're at before they even come into the building.
That's so true. And it's and in a way, we sort of have to play that therapist type of coach,
there's plenty of times, yeah.
Understanding, maybe they're not 100% one day, maybe they are 100% another day, but we don't know sometimes these athletes, whether it be, again, like Coach Dan said, youth, high school, college, pros, what day they've been having, what week they've been having. So now being able to sort of tap in to their ability so they can obviously get the best results possible that day or within that week, what have you, that's difficult in and of itself, where, some people can do it. Some people can tap into it. Others, it's pretty difficult. And then, we see it all the time. It's happened to me. Certain kids I gravitate towards or they gravitate towards me. And then some that just don't. And they either go with another coach or go to another, facility or something like that. It happens. The relationships, like you mentioned, I really appreciate you bringing that up because I think it's such a valuable component. Because at the end of the day, we don't have that relationship. We don't have that trust. Then, like, what good are we? Really, I'm not any good for them. So
no, that's very true. When someone's not bought in, like I said before, it doesn't matter what you're putting them through, what workout you're putting them through. If they're not bought in, it's not going to work out.
Yeah. I would go along to say, too, let me ask you this. How long are we in right now, by the way?
We're over 25 minutes. For
Damn, we are
an
good.
Intro podcast. We're over 25 minutes.
Let the record show that I'm holding the team right now. I'm just kidding. It's been mutual.
Well, my intro did go over 10 minutes because we completely diverted somewhere
that
away
I take
from
full
it.
responsibility for. I was just so interested, It's like sometimes when you're just talking, just stuff flows,
I'm an interesting person, so yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Ladies and gentlemen, let the record show that Coach Dan is 100% not. No, I'm just kidding. He's super interesting. Once you get to know him, it's like, honestly, it's like an onion. You just got to peel back with him, and then once you get to know him, it's like, I don't know how an onion really tastes for some people, but it's like, it's pretty awesome,
I don't know how I feel about that being compared to an onion. I get the layers aspect, but onions also stink, and some people hate
Yeah,
them.
that was probably a horrible comparison. Like maybe I don't know, a peach? Regardless.
Yeah, let's get off the
Regardless,
food.
we're getting off way topic here. But, all right, going back to what I was saying. So, obviously, talking about, the relationships, being able to tap in that. Is there any athletes in your 10 years here that you think you've been able to really connect with and see their growth? Not only, them seeing it, but you seeing it as a coach, having them reach their quote-unquote full potential. Or, are they still in the process of, or have they not? What would you say? Been here for 10 years. It's a long time.
I think that's a very, very difficult question.
Really?
Very difficult question.
Why is that?
Because I think there's plenty of athletes that I've seen grow, and I've seen from where they started to where they may be finished if they're not here anymore. It was incredible growth, but part of me feels like could have been more. So I feel like that speaks to I see you making faces a little bit because you might know where I'm headed.
Go ahead, say it.
It's very hard for me to accept when I think anyone's reached their full potential.
Say what you want to say. Say it. I know exactly what you want to say.
No, I don't think it even applies yet. It just did pop into my mind, but it does. I don't think it applies yet, so I'm gonna withhold that until.
All right, I'm gonna have it apply right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's a philosophy that Coach Dan has, and I always give him crap for it because I'm like, that's so cliche, but at the same time, there is a lot of substance and a lot of strong meaning towards it. So obviously, you're never gonna shut it down. I do find it again, going back to Eagles and stuff like that, I do find it comical sometimes, when it's said in a conversation. But Coach Dan, would you please let the viewers know, because it has to be said in the first intro of the podcast, what your motto is as a coach?
My motto as a coach is, if my athletes succeed, then my athletes succeed. If my athletes fail, then I have failed them.
Now, that being said, I understand fully what that means because we've had numerous conversations on it. But for those people that are still wait, if they succeed, they succeed, but if they fail, you fail. Can you break that down a little bit?
So what I'm saying is, when I'm coaching my athletes, if I get them faster, stronger, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? And they find success on the field because of said adaptations to training.
Okay.
They earn that success. I have nothing to do with that. They put in the work. But now, if a season starts, whatever the sport may be, and they get injured or they slow down, they lose some playing time, there's something I didn't do. I failed them. So that's my thought behind it. That's my...
Here, and so pretty much, I like it. Obviously, there's time and place where I'm like, this is ridiculous. And the reason why I say that is this. Us as coaches, and this is my opinion. This is not something Coach Dan has told me, or, this is just my opinion. I agree with Coach Dan. When they succeed, they succeed. Not once do I ever expect an athlete to give myself I'll speak for myself. Myself the recognition for their success, because again, we were just another piece to the puzzle to help them. We were not the main piece.
100%.
That being said, I think we do a lot for athletes trying to strive for their potential, whether they like it or not. And when I say like it or not, like, may agree or not agree. And that's, again, breaking the layers with these athletes as to our training, as to why we're doing what we're doing to, get them to a high level. But sometimes, messing up is a part of life, not just sports, just a part of life. So, like, for us, like, though we are a portion of their success, I would like to believe we're not the main reason for their failures too. And that may sound very conceit, like I'm sounding conceding or something like that. Conceited. Thank you. Conceited. But at the same time too, like, I respect the fact that you say that, and I understand the meaning. But at the same time, like, for athletes, like, they need to grow and learn on their own, and not have the thought like, well, because Coach Dan didn't help me with this. I wasn't able to do this, and that, or Coach so and so didn't do this, or my skills coach didn't do this. It's on them. I just feel like when we start taking the blame, then it gives them being the athlete, a scapegoat as to them not recognizing that sometimes failure is a part of the sport, and that it's okay to fail as long, and may I put this in quote, as long as you learn from it too. Because when you get athletes that start pointing the finger, it's one thing to point a finger at, like, their performance coach or what have you, but then now, as they grow and become more mature or what have you, now it's, if they fail, then it's pointing on their teammates or pointing on their main coaches. That's where I have, like, the sort of,
so I mean,
fine line of contradicting
I'm
myself.
not saying that's, my motto for, like, if they fail, to take the failure away from them and put it on myself. I'm saying it more so I want them to understand how much their success means to me, because I don't want to fail. So there is a selfish aspect to it.
Heck yeah.
I don't want to fail. So I want them to understand that, and then if they see that and then buy into it and believe it, that's
when,
step
when
one.
you say selfish aspect to it, because I just want to dive in on that, meaning, like, you want them to be as successful as possible no matter what.
No matter what.
Okay, see, that makes sense.
Successful as possible no matter what, yeah.
See, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you just got to peel the layers of the onion, just like Coach Dan, right? No, but I do appreciate that, because, again, it gives a little bit more, at least for me, I don't know about the viewers at home if they get it, but, like, a little bit more clarification as to why you live by that motto. Because I remember at first when I heard this, I was like, what the F is this hoopla stuff or this kumbaya stuff?
There's always a meaning behind everything.
Yes. And it's funny that you say, like, with regards to their success, because, ladies and gentlemen, there are people out there. There are coaches, trainers, whatever you want to call them, that think they're, God's gift to the world, and that they think that all their athlete success is based upon what they've told them or taught them or trained them to do or this and that.
There's too many of them.
Where do you think that started? Do you think that started from the beginning of time, or, like, has it sort of, like, developed years ago?
I think humans as living beings have egos, and I think it all comes down to ego.
But true. But in this industry, I feel like it's so prevalent in this industry compared to most. You know what I mean? And I don't know why. Well,
I mean, this is a very, very, very competitive industry. And I think, like you mentioned before, are researchers doing research because they didn't make it in the coaching realm?
Yes.
Well, at the same time, are there a lot of coaches because they couldn't make it athletically?
True.
So now they're coaching, and then they have athletes that succeed, and they wanted the success that their athletes are getting, so they're trying to take credit for the success. So I think that's where a lot of it comes from.
It's funny that you say that, because I feel like even myself sometimes, like, I try to live through certain athletes.
Which is fine, which is totally normal, but I think it becomes a problem when you stand up and be like, yeah, they did it. You know why they did it? They trained with me. That's why they did it.
Which we see so much. I know we keep saying it's like a broken record player, but, like, so much. And, like, there are times, obviously, I may not verbally say it, but there in my head, I'm like, yeah, like, we worked on that. Like, heck yeah, like, we worked on those movements.
Well, of course.
Their vertical jump went up because we were working on, doing certain, plyometric drills or this and that. Obviously, like, yes, there's a little ego to it, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's based off the athlete's success. That's the main point trying to get across. Is Tiana texting you right now? That's his wife, by the way.
I'm not going to say who messaged me, because it'll just open up another can of worms.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah.
Bill Parisi, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it was not Bill Parisi.
Oh, darn it.
It was not. It was an athlete.
But
34 minutes in,
I'm actually proud of us.
and we haven't once said what this podcast is called.
Oh, okay. So, would you like to say it? You are the vet.
You know, I give credit where credit is due. You came up with the name, and I think that's the name that we'll be going to be sticking with. So I think you should say
I
it.
appreciate that. Well, listen, everyone. If
I checked my ego, just so you know. I checked my ego. I'm letting him say the name.
Oh wow! See, guys, again, egos, big heads, all this type of stuff will be said every single time we're on this podcast. But appreciate you giving me the floor on this, even though it was a dual effort. Okay. You see how I did there?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Caught that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So if you all are still listening to this podcast at 35 minutes, first of all, hey, thank you, because that means you're giving us 35 minutes of your time and then some. But second of all, now you know what the name of this podcast is going to be, which we discuss as it will be called The Coach's Table. Now, if you like it, please let us know. If you hate it, let us know. If anyone has any references that make sense and are not silly, please let us know. DM us, comment, depending on where we put this, this feed, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever type of.
Where are we gonna put it?
I don't know. I was thinking, we talked about.
We could take the easy route and just put it on SoundCloud for now.
Let's put it on SoundCloud just because this is our first one. But I also if it's suitable, I would like to put it on iTunes or Spotify.
I'm all for it.
Even if we have to pay a premium for it, no matter. But I also, and hear me out, I know sometimes podcasts are sort of meant to be listened to in a car or doing some sort of work. But I also want to put this stuff on YouTube. I think honestly, it's good to put a name to a face for those of you that don't know who we are.
We need to get a cover, like a logo type
Well,
thing.
listen, you're all also, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Dan is also an artist as well too, a music artist.
That's not true.
Yes, it's so true. What was it, DS Music or something like that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna find it, and next podcast I will be stating what his actual stage name is. But he has a very creative, artistic background. Actually, I think his mother's a painter, and she's really good. I'm actually looking at a painting of hers of him and his son. And to be honest, I think I'm gonna leave that to you to figure out what we're gonna do.
Got it.
All right. Even though you hate me right now for doing this, but I don't care. But yeah, so the Coach's Table.
Coach's Table. Come take a seat at our table.
Please. We will be having special
Is that corny?
guests.
Should we not do that?
I like that a lot. That's corny as hell, but I love it. And obviously your hosts, Coach Dan, and myself, Coach Adam. We're gonna try to do this at least once a week. Just to get the feet wet, get the ball rolling on this. See what feedback we get from this. Please, if you can, listen to it. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 35 minutes. I don't care. Just if you have the time, give us a listen to and give us some feedback if you'd like to. Coach, would you like to? I'm guessing we're ending the near of this intro.
Yeah. I mean, I believe you hit every point that needed to be hit, and swipe up to subscribe.
Oh my gosh, what was that? All right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, have a great Monday. Coach Stan.
What does this mean? We have to put this out on Monday?
No.
Have a great day. Let's just put it at that.
Okay, even though this was recorded on a Monday, but sure.
Yeah, but when is it gonna? What if I don't put it out till tomorrow, or we don't put it out until tomorrow?
Oh my gosh, we are so getting off this right now. Yes, fine. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. From Coach Dan and myself, Coach Adam, Coach's Table. We out.
Out.